My country, Syria, which has suffered for more than a decade from the terrorist war waged against it through the use of terrorist elements to threaten its security, stability, and safety of its people. Appreciate the courageous initiatives of countries that want to establish new security system based on the principles of equality and collective action to eliminate threats and dangers, in which there is no place for hegemony or creation of artificial challenges that lead to disastrous repercussions and great risks. The collective concept of security must be based on multilateralism, the diversity of common interests, cooperation rather than conflict, and unifying strategy rather than competing with them. My country views with satisfaction the discussions taking place within the framework of this conference on the Eurasian Charter on Diversity and Multipolarity in the 21st century. This can be the basis for collective action to achieve the goals of the countries of the Eurasian sphere toward establishing security and stability in it. Our region, of which my Syria is a part, is surrounded by serious threats caused by the continuous foreign occupation of its land, the usurpation of the rights of its people, and the theft of its wealth, and the aggressions against its sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity. This casts a heavy shadow on the future of the countries of that region, as well as on the future of the countries of the Eurasian sphere and its people. While we call today at this conference for a safer world for people, Israel is violating with unparalleled brutality all rules of international law and international humanitarian law, and committing war crimes and genocide by targeting defenseless civilians, journalists, humanitarian works, and UN staff.
The current international security is facing unprecedented challenges. Firstly, regional conflicts are escalating and the risk of spillover is increasing globally. Secondly, there are 56 ongoing armed conflicts worldwide, setting a new high since World War II. 12 countries are involved in overseas conflicts. Secondly, the global arms race is clearly heating up. Global military spending has increased for 8 consecutive years, reaching $2.2 trillion in 2023, of which NATO funding has exceeded half, setting a new record. Thirdly, there are fierce battles and 4 waves emerging. Western capitalism is deeply mired in institutional difficulties, and right-wing populist forces are rising, promoting racism, nationalism, populism, and extremism. Firstly, we should adhere to the global security concept of joint comprehensive cooperation and sustainability. Security is the right of all countries in the world, not the exclusive patent of some countries, let alone the final say of individual countries. Secondly, we must adhere to the principle of respecting the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all countries. All countries, big or small, strong or weak, poor or weak, are equal members of the international community and have the right to independently choose their social system and development path, which must be upheld. Thirdly, we must adhere to the ultimate purposes and principles of the United Nations Charter. The so-called rules-based international order is essentially a dressed-up package of hegemonism. There is only one system in the world, which is the international system with the United Nations at its core. There is only one order, which is the international order based on international law. Fourthly, we must adhere to attaching importance to the reasonable security concerns of all countries. Humanity is an inseparable security community. One country's security should not be compromised at the expense of other countries' security, and regional security should not be guaranteed by strengthening or even expanding military groups. The legitimate and reasonable security concerns of any country should be valued and properly addressed, and should not be ignored or systematically violated for a long time. On the Middle East issue, China has been active, clenched its fists. Saudi Arabia and Iran have achieved historic reconciliation, promoted internal reconciliation in Palestine, made breakthroughs, firmly supported the just cause of the Palestinian people to restore their legitimate national rights, and firmly supported Palestine's becoming a formal member of the United Nations. On the issue of Ukraine, China has always adhered to an objective and fair position and advocated for peace talks. President Xi Jinping personally had in-depth communication with leaders of various countries, including Russia and Ukraine. China also issued a position paper and jointly issued a 6-point consensus with Brazil. At the United Nations, China initiated the establishment of a Peace and Freedom Group. As the special representative of the Chinese government for Eurasian affairs, I have conducted shuttle diplomacy 4 times in the past year, traveling to various continents in Europe, Asia, Africa, and Latin America.